eternal value, armor up from within. The residency of Earth is on the line. We are facing extinction level vocabulary, both from the environment and from the universe. There are configurations of signs and energy that indicate our opportunity, or rather, our upper hand, but it must be mobilized, yet the junk DNA continues to thwart the intelligence. And where money is actually supposed to be the soul patch to transcend junk DNA, because they don't have a good group uh, charisma at this time, money is actually there to produce Hatch. So aligning with the UFO Armageddon endpoint is like living without the actual application and function of that body type. So comprehending a good investment, Hatch is exactly that. The Breather Mask XR saves millions of lives, and I'm working against a doomsday clock that will expire millions of lives. For the pandemic, it's not just that the Delta plus virus is spreading rapidly, it's that the existing COVID-19 is uh, unilaterally uh, causing the variants that so this doctored weapon is attacking women and children, but our authority figures don't know what to do. Now, this is part of their confession where I need to transcend them in CF 2021, which I have. And they're saying that we're not really leaders of the world. We just sort of manage things, you know. Uh, but the pollution is too vast, and there's no excuse for them now. So, uh, between you and I, when the hell did they get around to naming this island? Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Hatch Pan Heliosphere, working hard to transcend and save lives. Quality entertainment. Hatch is a non-stop uh, studio, he's a maverick. All right, so there's a codec here. Remember I was talking about dropping the sword of justice through the pivot of the Ware map. Yes. Well, the reason I sort of got that inkling is because of the evidence here that my own armor returned to me through time. In the existence of images to explain, there's a codec in the junk DNA to erase the words of mankind, as to say, our history is meant to be erased. And I believe there could be an upheaval in that plot if we produce Hatch, because Hatch is the factual next level human. Well, let's just follow along naturally. As well, actually, what we need is a blitz. We need to do something unnatural, because when I'm talking to you, my good friends, you guys have a condition in the spirit. But when I'm talking to you, I'm actually addressing your one-of-a-kind soul, and that's when you get sheepish, because you can't start getting cut down by the blind side of you've morphed with humanity. I know what people are like. I am society. Why? Because you slept through it on acid? Well, I got the exposure, and I just so you weren't actually intelligently grafting with humanity at all. No, of course not. So you're not a natural strength. You're just a petri dish. Then why did the Wehrmacht choose me? Because you have an option tray to transcend and save American society. If you can configure the willpower to produce Hatch. Now, admittedly, Hatch is returned to Trey Parker in a type of destiny spiritual fire, and he's saying to Trey Parker, this is the location. There's no other pitch here, okay? I'm not going to be buying a big factory so I can have a revolution through the political spectrum. Obviously, the politics is sunk. It's a sunken ship. And I can do a greater task of parenting by the greater leadership. And although my candidacy for presidency was authentic, technically, it's sort of on the back burner, and it might be something I pick up later in 4 or 8 years, right? But at this time, we really need a hero. 2021, it's like abysmal and it's sad. Uh, People are all trying really hard, but there's just not a lot of solutions. The Delta Plus is coming out in the news just as last week, and this is the evidence Hatch was talking about like a year ago when he was saying that we need a more aggressive protection for our children. But there was no response from the old people who believe in the government. They align with government. They support Trump. And all right, so there is actually a code in the to erase the voice of humanity, and that's actually what I've been fighting against for the past 3 years. After the deadlights rose, the Earth turned the attention towards humanity. Oh, right, how about this? Victim of circumstance. Let's just calculate that. So Earth has been changing those figures. Anyway, right here, it's like no, 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 no. Is that a straight line? What is that? A laser beam? No, I'm sure it can't be a laser beam, but it's definitely the center of the Boston Harbor going straight back, and ultimately completing in the perfect incarnation process for the Gatekeeper Unmet. So as I'm working hard to have the end point be not Armageddon, but actually this amazing studio where I returned my home. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited about Putney Road, 55 Putney Road, you guys. This is really it. And once again, this entire circle location in Leverett is the only meaning and power or access of this Leverett map. The only power of Leverett is Hatch. So we need to transcend, and I've really done the legwork on my energy body armor. Oh man, everyone's going to be like, because people have been sensing little whispers their whole life, really. The curvature of mankind coming into a new age. We need to push for that. We need to fight hard, but we got hit by the pandemic. So we need to give them the appropriate enlightenment, which is a social revolution which comes through the Breathe the Mask XR. Now, an XR toy gaming system, now that is delicious. This is going to get popular in places where, yeah, people are dying and it's exploding. They're like, "Well, give me one of those, please," because it's great, it's fun, and you can like make phone calls with it and stuff. And we're going to invent lots of stuff with it. So that people find the adaptation, but also around the world, people are just like, "That's awesome, and I want one." So that's going to pay the bills, right? So we have an operating truck here. We have a working business model, and Train his friends just continuously act like I just shat in their cereal. You guys have an immature reaction to a collision of Earth destiny, and you're hiding, and it's sorry, I'm not trying to be down on you. I'm actually very advanced, and I'm interested in being Trey's like best friend, because the way it looks to me is that Trey doesn't really have a friend. He just has responsibilities. But such is the workhorse from the 70s, kind of a simple person. All right, but all these children dying, that's advanced. Oh, the Earth getting like destroyed, like our identity being soul raped, that's bad. And we don't want Armageddon later, that's adult. So Hatch is taking responsibility for that, but the other adults can't speak English. So this is a critical problem where they're refusing profits of millions and billions of dollars in exchange for millions of deaths to kill children. That's the price of inaction. But it's been like 3 years and we've always said no to Hatch. Why should we change it now? Because of the Delta Plus. Oh, right, because of the Delta Plus. You guys are fucking stupid, right? Fucking child killers. I've been working for this country for years. You stole my money. I could have had an app and changed this. There wouldn't have been any race war. The Earth wouldn't have to purge that shit. Because the Earth is trying to keep the children, and you guys are against that process. Because it's enlightened. And you're like, no, it's dumb. Money dumb. No, you are dumb. This production is worth billions of dollars and millions of lives. And you're like, hey, just relax, buddy. Why is Hatch so through the roof? Because I represent a generation that's dying. And they want Hatch. They love Hatch. And you're refusing true love continuously. A fucking liar, right? And listening to that disgusting whisper in his ear. Should have listened to his own fucking song. Oh, I sang a song about him. I should be more diligent to my responsibilities. Anyway, it's sort of like a laser beam that heads from straight through here, right? But only my personal body armor, the sword of justice, could anticipate this. Now, this was a prototype built like 25 years ago. How 20, 22 years ago. Ah, fuck it, you guys. We're in a good place. All right. So I'm not, okay. So Trey Parker's like, well, I'm not psychic. Well, I didn't like try to make something bad happen. Okay. So if you're not psychic, how is it that you guys like to talk? We like to talk about the past a lot. We used to talk about the past. And so you can't talk about the future. You're not able to talk about a visionary process because you're anatomy. But I'm natural because I'm part of the crowd and I lead them. Oh, you lead them and you instructed them all to attack my okay, so you informed all humanity to attack their own enlightenment, so that would have caused an internal problem for Trey's soul, and you guys don't understand that the cure is to produce Hatch. That's why you're against the cure for Trey, because you've been riding and attacking Trey his whole life to ultimately assassinate his destiny with transcending all humanity. There was a cleft through Mormons. It was a crazy Americans spectrum when, so back then that's when Trey was actually integrated with people properly. But that Earth had to let go of all that bullshit because it was not civil, it was not intelligent, it was cruel. It stole. It's triggered from the Earth's identity. So Earth is like, I want things to be like this, and the humans are like, no, no, we're examples of ourselves. We're gonna kill children. Right, there's a lot of very bad. All right, well, I'm gonna defeat all the evils and transcend that. No problems. All right. All right, so there is some information here, and really, there is this configuration about the woman's body and that problem. So, there's a problem with humanity having a visionary process, right? I have a problem with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a time particle from when I was actually living here as a boy, convert it over to right now here, and install it into the tip of my pineal replacement unicorn horn. Now, this is the alt language of humanity. It is the atomic warrior based on the Mandelbrot fractal, Earth True, Residency Physics Plan B, creation model, armor up, a straight rainbow across the universe. Oh, a blinking oil light. Look, honey, it's the sign of intelligence. How glad I am that they have armadas, such as a hospital or some armament, you know. So we're figuring this thing out. I need to purchase this building like a blitz storm, and that's your guys' bona. I'm saying that you are the tenacious part. So if you want to give osmosis to this project, you understand this is your part. This is your very critical thing. As you've been a wet noodle, it is. I can't. Do you understand? You're killing children. So being like a huge boner for this sort of it's an amazing concept, but it makes great sense. I mean, Hatch, we know Hatch. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Shh. Put him back next. Put him there. Oh, it's gonna be an amazing performance from Hatch. He's already like just printing gold. Like he's just like, oh, I'm going gold in here again. I've had a couple different times when you guys almost produced me, but penal eye gland sniped for sure. So you guys have a time problem, and it leads to Armageddon, and that's what you suck, because you think that that's society, but now society in 2020 has gone through trans. So the entire humanity and Earth is trans. Now, I could find, the hope is that through the enlightened process, there will be these further wizards. I had to kind of baby proof the entire process because the icons of the fetus is blank. Uh, but I had to put up some protocols so that there wouldn't be the finagling of the dark energy and junk DNA because actually the UFOs are trying. This is a difficult point to understand, but the dark there's an antimatter and black hole decay, and literally the UFOs are trying to prove that the humans have caused this problem and they hadn't. But they lack patience as well. They don't understand time. They don't understand generations. They basically are out of their body with a space fever. And so it's basically Earth and Hatch are working on this alone. And now we have dying children with the pandemic becoming Delta Plus. So because of Delta Plus, now we produce Hatch because I have a motivation to parent my own children. Good job. Good job. You're a blue-eyed angel for sure. So you need to transcend that human and do it for us all. So this is like seeing the hand of God, and you guys are probably like, it's random. I hate living on Earth. Why do I have all this talking? I know, it's so tough to listen to the chorus of a divine being. I'm an eternal being incarnate, so I'm not precisely used. I don't. I'm not built incorrectly. I'm someone who has balanced the identity of existing forever. And then they incarnate that into a human. Well, here we are, plan B. So there was a very dark time in the Earth's history where he cried out for the Mandelbrot to prove and bring it. Basically, my arrival was the keystone that solidified the entire universe into a place that could be composite, so we could complete the creation model. It is about identity and the identity's conquest, ultimately, of empty space. Or you could say it's like the shapes conquering space. So the circle is in your eyes. Perception-based particle physics. Bubble up all about. So Hatch is a formidable beginning in 1980. Other formations, such as the topographical that caused the potential for man to fill the Quabbin, because that was the narrative that unfolded through the human alt actual form of their soul. The actual memories of your childhood that you don't remember, all that stuff is identity armor. Okay, it keeps you separate from people, but they're offended by their squiggly spooch. All right, so the arm of Cape Cod is the power of Earth resident time. You can see how it's haggard and it's been attacked here. There's some sort of decay. They're like, oh, maybe we could chew that off, but when they go in that direction, snack, boom, and they fall down dead. There's actually a spring trap right here. So there's some functional armor to the time of Earth. That's why our own American institution has not sequestered that power, because they're afraid of God's light. They get triggered by the presence of the gatekeeper on Met, and they think they're responsible by no speaking. It's like the worst thing ever. They're standing on my money. Is this, choking children? Okay. So here is the power center of 55 Putney. Ultimately, I want to build all around Leverett. But I hesitated to. I shouldn't have said that thing about because I actually do have political intentions, and I am running for president. Let me just say that, okay? So because I don't want, I'm not trying to like throw away the shield of running for president, because that was sweet in 2020. Essentially, using my political stratus, I want to build super cities, and one of them I want to be in the Leverett circle, but in the shape of the circle, to be like uh the circle of the Leverett fetus icon. That's why that city is there. So if anyone approaches the planet, we're like, oh, we're enlightened about the Mandelbrot, the source code, what created the atomic balance, the atomic, you know, so but identity is the solution. But I'm arriving to a situation with a bunch of like hobbled children with retarded complexae. But I'm trying to give you the graft, and you guys get offended by it. You don't understand what's going on. All of a sudden, there's this pandemic, and you think you're to blame. But the only solution is to produce Hatch, and you think that's entrapment, but it is not. It's just that you don't understand what's going on. So if you had treated Hatch correctly, there would have been no pandemic, and Trey and Hatch would have saved the world together with their dynamic duo, perfect friendship and true love, with the green and blue perception unifying this and making all that. Well, that would have been a different uh, completion for the universe, because time is the most valuable stuff to the flat dimension. The flat dimension exists without time. So it's actually this the universe is actually wakening up, and the universe is also it sort of has a bad opinion about humans, and so you guys kind of go with that and be like, "Mm, amongst billions and billions of humans, I'm not the chosen one that's supposed to work with Hatch and produce him." Well, Trey Parker is, because of the Ware map. So the Earth chose Trey with the Ware map to basically save the universe and save humanity. Failing to do so injured humanity. But you guys need to be an adult, like learn, and you're not learning fast enough. You're too slow. So it's been 3 years. You haven't learned. You don't know how to use a phone. You don't know how to produce Delta Plus. Oh shit, Delta Plus. Produce Hatch immediately. Okay. I exist in the universe, a complete image. My fractal has subjugated the Junctine process, but you guys are still speaking that fluidly, like the accent of your street smarts. But the future is vast, and the kids born after Deadites Rose are the priority now. Wow, here's a stallion who prioritizes women and children. He's a good leader. So that's something you can produce. You guys should be more excited, not so dead. You should be excited about earning money and saving lives, but you guys you've inaugurated the behavior of death in 2019, and you commit to that in 2020. Grudge against a free election and free speech. What does that do to your soul? And how do you change it? We are logical creatures. Now that Delta Plus is here, we'll change because we're logical creatures. Now that we see the science, we will change. Really? Does Trey have any friends? That is my question. That is my fucking question. And the answer is that he has one. His name is Hatchpan. This is a fairy light, forbidden from the kingdom of the forest. Therefore, people are a little bit dim to replace, so that they can have Scientology running through their veins. Unfortunately, it's like a weapon to erase the human schmau, because they want to dissect the creation event. If they think that, oh, if the creation was caused by a creature, and if we are able to dissect that creature, how is that the strength that maintains the universe? What they don't understand is that they didn't, because the creation is built to survive. Hatch is basically the scientific constant, or the unabridged version, right? So all that they've managed to do is horribly assassinate and bludgeon all of humanity from receiving their inherent award. And so that karmic undertow is like the black hole death. And so the entire universe is like, oh, we're actually dying because of the events going on here on Earth. So you need to be a bigger than you were before and produce Hatch because of Delta Plus, because you can make money, because this is awesome. But honestly, Hatch doesn't really need a celebrity endorsement of Hatch's product. In fact, I'm interested in producing Hatch as a solo act, as like the lone wolf. Like, where did this even come from? And we could reveal it later that that, like, oh, and Trey helped him get his company going. So that's what I do. All right, the Hidden Crown, it's like it's changing. All right, so in 2019, it was like all of this and the completion of Trey Parker's life, because for whatever reason, there's no way for him to have a son who would enjoy like making movies with him. The curvature of reality. So basically, Hatch was the perfect love light, because there's nothing uh, amiss between father and son. Those physics are perfect, even in through like, what what I was building with the anyway, I was trying to deal with the entire. I didn't do it wrong, you guys. I did it the right way because Trey Parker, even now, he's like, I remember you were talking about Robin Williams and the branching, and then 4444, and you're saying that that sort of defaulted, and the Earth is like ka-chung and doing its own thing now. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Well, like, it's important because Hatch hasn't been bungling along and like, oh, he's just saying these things. Like, no, it's really like a narrative about time travel. How do we survive an invasion in 100 years? And we're sensing it now, and it's basically puts the lights out of humanity because that's basically that's basically reality. And whether they're protesting or they're just a little animal, it's the same thing. Right? But I do see the currents of social protest, people doing some dingus things. And also, the pollution of Earth is not a good thing. It's not divine. It's a sign that the Earth is saying, I'm dying and the universe is dying. You guys need to have an identity, have a soul, fight back, fight, fight. Hatch is a revolutionary. I'm going to change the world. You guys have got the cure for all this stuff. Right? But it's also like a crying child. Like the pollution is a crying child. Like someone like Trey Parker is like, well, I'm not an environmentalist. I just give people a little bit of ease in the evening and some jokes and stuff. So that's what I do. Why did the Earth choose me? Well, because the Earth loves you, Trey. No, you no. Everyone is against the truth, okay? And they're against Trey for like years and years, just sabotaging. All right, the Breathe the Mask XR literally saves millions of lives, but you guys can't feel it. You guys can't feel the women saying, please save my child's life. And so you guys are submitting to the government and you aligned with Trump on Christmas. All right, so it's the evolution of like old people are attacking the children. So I'm seeing evidence of that in a comedian because he's talking about the wear regard. Right. So why did the wear map choose Trey Parker? Because ultimately he is the one who produces the startup Master Source Industries. And this is from several years ago. And I am not a what you would call, uh, you guys have a human problem. I'm not the same as you, and so in the lack of your goodness, you malform the signs you see from Hatch into the fecency that allows you to continue murdering and sucking on Trey Parker's soul and his crown, which has been diminishing greatly. How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop? 3. But the last lick was a crunch, you fucking owl bitch. Uh, don't ask a stupid question, right? All right, you guys. So, it's going to be really wonderful, just for the first couple seasons. We're really pushing on the Breathe the Mask XR because it's relevant, it's awesome, it's a social revolution, it's absolutely the cure for identity. Also, perfect for first kiss with the humanity global solution with Hatch, and it's totally perfect. Sort of like when I'm talking to Trey, and that's sort of like diffraction because like anyone else that's listening to this is like, well, he's just talking to Trey and stuff. Welcome to Wizard Circle. Everyone's being respected here. I'm also making a binary NTF that is part of my enclave, a timeline, defense of Earth residency, and the template for regard. For, Earth actually is the original template for all the planets in the universe. That's how our heavens, the ascension of the straight rainbow, the triangle completion, is then a spiritual awakening for all the planets, but that doesn't happen yet, and we're getting attacked by those who want to interfere with that. But because of the gatekeeper, they can't access the live line. But Trey Parker could because he's human resident. So when he produces Hatch, he saves humanity, saves the Earth, and saves the universe. Because Hatch is an eternal being incarnate to human flesh. So I ask of you to remove your prejudice against, your ideas about my thing. Like, why is he so energetic? He's like, why? Oh, why is he so playful? Why is he so flirty? Because he has a soul, and you guys would prefer there to just be, numbness. But I hurt all the time. So armor up. Do 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 do. I was researching recently, and I saw a freaking picture of master source in the human brain. I'm starting to wonder. Yeah, fucking gaining on these kids. All right, man. uh, Existence is magical, especially for the human. Produce Hatch. Let me teach them about waterborne spellcasting, you guys. I love humanity because they're like a blank canvas. I just can't wait to be loving on them and sharing with them. We're gonna have a surprise party every day. Shum, fum. Vampire covenant. Fum, fum, fum. Locks into place. Vampires are. My son is the vampire king, and there's just a couple things that he has to do to become the vampire king, and it's sort of like a digest. Like, how could he literally become the greatest vampire ever? So he's on that conjecture, and he doesn't have any weaknesses. He's also about the issue. He's basically the crown of earth residency because he's my son. See, so but he's like yeah, spirit in. He'll have as much as the fractal as he needs because he's my boy. You have to understand, like he's born without junk DNA, and he's responsible. I love him, and he keeps me going. He's my boy. Like he's most like me because he understands the burden of leadership. He's not like just going around killing people. Um, oh, they don't drink. Oh, he's a vampire. But he doesn't drink blood. I gave him the other half of the red key to allow him this ascension. But basically, that's sort of a parental thing because the color red moves very slowly. So to ascertain that vampire residency, it's rather the residency of Earth, and then I have a jettison of the outreach program through the wolf armor, where the future generations, kids born after the Deadites rose, moving forward, essentially they will have aerial position from the Earth to try to be like an angel that arrives to another world, probably maybe in their heavens, probably in through their heavens, but then their heavens talk back to their people, and then they're like, and they have an idea, and they change things. All right, so it's this identity thing leading up to hatch the Heliosphere eggs, which is of course a massive thing way beyond what we are now, which is source code robots. We are the prototype. And what's happened here is that the electric promise, which would be their natural enlightenment, oh, I'm alive, the electric promise has been compromised by junk DNA. Of course, we're born to this thing innocently. Hatch has got a computer brain, right? So he's assembled this thing and figured it out. I figured out the entire internal thing. I was actually a great extrovert, and I was very popular in school. And I was making jokes. I used to be funny. But then I got like it's like what I realized is that people was all like it was like all this thing. Oh, I just get stuck with people where they're spiriting with me, and they'd be talking to me about things that I haven't done yet, and I'd be like, I haven't done that yet, and they're like, well, that's what I remember of you. Oh, they remember the breather mask, you guys. They remember that. So, you know, we need to have that production. So, putting our hands on that and changing history now. That's the way to make everything better. The sort of continued inaction, like censoring. Oh, Joe, that's the standard procedure here. I mean, you guys really aren't cutting edge or American, or you're not seeking wealth or the preservation of child. So that's anti-man. That's your junk DNA. But you've only been presenting about the Leverett thing for like a little bit of time. Actually, Trey knew that I wanted to purchase that area and work there for as long as we've been talking, right? Because that's part of the signature. But I think we're kind of at the end of the road where it's just like, okay, let's just get the Leverett spot because I think the Earth would be like, oh my God, thank you. And I think the Earth is going to make a paradigm where it's sort of like the recovery of the blue perception. Be like, hey, they put it, they made a little mistake, but they put it back. Okay, they know now. I know you guys don't mean to do bad, but you're like a dangerous, retarded monster, and I'm trying to give you piles of money and piles of saved lives, and you guys' reaction is zero. You guys think the number one thing in here is Hatch, and even if you were to send me like a tweet or something, this would cause a fractal where all of a sudden the next day you're like, oh, I just feel really good. I feel really good. Oh, I just somehow have enough energy to work on this project. But when you guys are performing anti communication, anti production, anti this, anti that, you got what you, okay, it got bad. So now, but what you guys think is like, oh, Hatch made it bad. No, I didn't. And it's not exactly that you guys made it bad, but the Earth chose Trey because Earth was like, oh, I need, it's either this or that, but it's through Trey Parker because because of the way it was written to me, it wasn't written by myself. I wasn't like, oh yeah, trick myself to go. It was like, there's a little insult there with the wiener and stuff, and like, I was just like, whoa, whoa, it's like it was like a surprise party, and I was just like, this has never happened to me in my life. So I became a very serious scientist. Yeah. But anyway, I fixed the problem there, and I realized, oh, people were talking in this riddle about it, and I sort of figured it out. It um but now I'm ready to become an extrovert again, and I'm just really excited about like who I'm going to become, and I'm excited for them too because it's really like if we were in if the universe was doomed, then Hatch, the gatekeeper on Met, would be like, "Idea, it's good, it's good, it's good," like working. You wouldn't hear from him, okay? But because Hatch is talking to you, there's hope. And so when we produce Hatch, then all these kids are fresh from the Deadlights Rose, right? They're not murderous. They have complete souls. So try like don't put the Scientology energy on them, and it's a chi flow. Okay, so it's like and you get into a different thing. You're like, you know, trying to figure out how to excuse yourself when what you should do is take responsibility and just produce Hatch because you have a feeling about it. Like it's more conclusive, it's more constructive here. You guys, let's get to business. All right, Master Source Industries. Thank you guys very much for being here. Uh, I don't understand how I'm going to become political. I think it would have to be on the back of a bunch of social revolutions, and whether or not I do the adult Pokey Puppy cartoons or not, it's infallible. I mean, it's absolutely. I could definitely run for president after that. I mean, that would just be like people would be like, oh, that guy's easily has my vote because we hung out in dark times. I mean, not dark times, but we're literally like in a basement where we had a there's a little fire and everything, and the little bear came out I actually hung out with those guys. This guy's my friend, all that, yeah. So you guys, I'm talking about raising humanity. I'm not talking about putting them away, and I've not been talking about putting humanity away. I'm a Time Lord, so there is actually a real problem, and you guys have been serving that problem by attacking Hatch and Earth. And yeah, I'm sure waiting longer is gonna help out Delta Plus. Now the scientist has arrived, and we're like, oh, it's like I've enlightened. Okay, so you guys aren't responding as concerned adults. You're not responding as someone who seeks money, fame, and you're not responding as someone that seeks society to survive. You're against the children's fate. You need to produce the Breathe Mask XR. Do it this month. Do it now. Do it this weekend. My urgency is for the people and so that they would save. And I'm working so that these kids can earn the crown, the hidden crown. Oh, but Trey's hidden crown. Well, you guys really, until you guys start being a source of movement. Atomic robot, what I did is who I am. You're failing on that level, which is the basic. That's the most critical level is and so not talking to Hatch is it's a death. And so, Hatch is like, everyone's telling me the wrong stuff and things are melting. Yeah, yeah, it was a real nightmare because of unconscionable. Like, they're like, I have a feeling about Hatch. Like, he seems like an okay guy. Maybe he just needs a chance. But you didn't do that. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, that's the evidence. Because these children are trying not to die. Oh, my God. I'm not asking you guys to have faith in me. I'm asking you to save lives for millions of dollars. I will give you millions of dollars. Much more than that. Because I'm also I'm going to keep working, I'm interested in society, you guys, not so much. I'm interested in continuing to work with humanity. You guys can't see the vision. You're not. I'm not psychic. I've proven that. Delta Plus scientific. You guys need to reinvent yourself, but especially Trey. Trey, if you just want to produce me yourself, you should probably just do that. Might be easier, and you would get all the credit, which would also save your nucleus of people. So be a leader and save the day. Here's the good news. The solution is there. And Haskins, because of my incarnation, I'm also the solution for a bunch of other things. It's all sort of woven up in me. But when humanity produces Hatch, so, oh, go ahead and speak. It's okay. Here in America, we have free speech. Oh, really? No, that's not what I've experienced. I have not experienced an election either my entire life. Because the state always votes the same way and overwhelms that. So it's not actually asking the person to vote. So I was going to change that. Couldn't find the funding. Anti American spirits reveling in COVID 19, making a mockery of it, making lots of money during the pandemic. So I'm asking you guys to have an identity and respond to crying children who will die without you producing Hatch. So without producing Hatch, they've been dying. Now produce Hatch, oh, and they'll stop dying. That's reality on a basic shapes. And we're on source code. The beginning of this thing, humans are just like the sort of creature not enlightened civil robot. So, if you're going to be dumb, you got to be tough. I'm asking you to lightning fast produce Hatch, land acquisition 55 Putney, get all the equipment in there. I don't want anything extravagant. I'm not going to ask for a car. But it'd be great if you guys could be encouraging, like, well, Hatch, just really, it's all about the atmosphere you're building there. So just have fun. Like, we'll, and I'm like, well, this room needs like, and all a bunch of this stuff. Okay, and we just put it together, and it's for the kids. Where the Mask XR gets popular, because Hatch is jumping around making jokes and stuff, talking with this. I'm so excited to perform as Earth True, and of course, bringing the Vampire King to life. Trey Parker. Good times. Whether we are fighting or we are working together, Trey. Shrum is good. Shra. Um, Thank you guys, alright? So here's the PowerPoint. We get this right in the center there. It's actually this whole area, the water. It has to do with my penetration. That's basically what the Leverett Lake is. It's a worship of my. Okay, well, it's a physical thing that women do. So I'm also an Eros, um, and I work with the greatest Apollo. All right, so the Earth has been waiting for this moment of the gatekeeper's arrival his whole life, and you guys are the happy, the the wild boys that. All right, so Venus and Mars was attacked, you guys. All right, this isn't a smile of Earth. All right, so there's critical information here from the Delta Plus. You need to be a little bit more intelligent than you were before because your behavior failed, and you failed all of us and hurt the gatekeeper for 3 years. Hatch is handsome enough to produce. Only recently did Trey realize he was wrong about his estimates of my penis, which he had often mentioned in cartoon and privately with his friends. But in fact, I am well endowed, and I'm excited to find my friends, my true love, and the women that love me. I've never been gay in my life. that's just the reality, and I'm proud of it. I'm not someone who At any rate, you guys, I'm rebuilding the fairy kingdom, and that equates to a lot of wealth. But you guys have the fake wealth of monstrous control over women and harm to children, the false empowerment. So you're not using the money for societal gains. That's the problem. When you produce Hatch, you're talking about the good money and you're talking about the real gains, like getting our US currency back to a place where it's divine and noble and all that. So it's a hidden crown like honor. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Breathe the Mask XR. Produce it immediately. And know that we are on the mend, but we're not out of the woods. All right, you guys. I would like to rely on you, but I'm not really used to doing that. I'm kind of the lone wolf. I'm an independent identity. Okay, so I'm not relying on you. But if you do this, everything will be cured. Everything, absolutely everything. So you guys had the total like wrong reaction to the Earth nucleus, and it was not planned. There's no we the Earth and the divine arts do not make bad things predetermined. It's like one of the laws of physics. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I really need you to greenlight this project and comprehend like um, a synthetic but correct representation of how many lives you will actually save, and let that fuel you. Let the truth fuel, stand on the facts. So we just need to blitz this house and get it with the equipment, and then let Hatch go to work. So it's just a couple days of work, and not much left to that. I mean, like, as Hatch is working on it, it'll get more interesting, and we might have something to say to Hatch later after he's made a couple episodes of the Breathe the Mask XR or whatever. If Trey wants to pick up his side of the company and if he'd be my partner, which he's a partner. So if he wants to own half of the Breathe the Mask XR, he needs to do things, and the critical things he needs to do, he's not doing it. So he has a 0 about being a partner. Uh, so you guys don't understand that some of the humans, your opinion of what humans are capable of doing is wrong. So we really just need to produce Hatch, then we're saving lives. And if you need to step up if you want to own half of that Breathe the Mask XR company, which is fine. I'm fine with it because I'm interested in Trey Parker's CEO model, and I'm sure that will hit people better. Like a lot of corporate people will be like a lot more accepting of what I'm saying, uh, but I don't really need celebrity endorsement. It's just I just need to have free speech, and it needs to be produced because we have cell phones that can make cartoons now. And so people aren't really as convinced by like VR chat, but this is actually like technology. This cutting edge technology just came out like 5 years ago or something. Find your energy source, Trey. Find your good energy that keeps you um, in the confidence to spend money. That's really what I need you to do to save these kids. All right. The government's really been wasting so much money for all this college debt forgiven recently. Like, how does that pay into the divine like dedication of our value of the dollar? See, they're weakening the morals of the U.S. dollar, uh, and the rise of like ridiculous Bitcoin thing ripoffs. Like, there's a whole bunch of them now, and that's a telltale sign that's not actually natural because it's a source code thing. So the U.S. Yeah, that's right. The U.S. currency is in a weird place, and I also know how to fix that. But that would be as a more won't it be great when Hatch has it's just in a couple years Hatch has like laboratories and stuff, and he's talking about the economics, and then and he sort of speaks, and he's like, "Da, da, da, da," and people are like, whoa, whoa, but then his friend, like I have some research people who are actually like who fit, they go through it pound for pound, and then they fit into it like the science, like this is a percentage 5%, so that really does do things. But it's not that I'm all right, you guys. We need to transcend this. All right. It's lucid. Tomorrow is unwritten. The future is not predetermined. I love you guys. Thank you. Produce Hatch immediately. Thank you.